The Mazda CX-9 has quietly built one of the strongest reputations in the mid-size SUV segment. It may not sell in the same numbers as the Toyota Highlander or Honda Pilot, but among people who actually own one, the CX-9 has earned a loyal following. Today, we're going to walk through the best and worst years Mazda CX-9 was produced. Let's get started. The worst years to avoid. Coming in at the very top of our avoid list is the 2008 Mazda CX-9. Now, it's worth saying right away that not every 2008 model is a disaster. There are owners who've driven them well beyond 150,000 miles without experiencing major problems. But when we look at owner complaints, repair databases, and long-term reliability reports, the 2008 consistently appears as one of the riskiest years Mazda ever produced. The biggest culprit is the 3.7-liter V6's internal water pump. Unlike most engines, where replacing a water pump is a relatively straightforward maintenance job, Mazda, and Ford, since this engine shares some engineering roots, placed the water pump inside the engine. That design decision has become infamous among mechanics. And in severe cases, the entire engine fails. Repairing the water pump alone can easily cost between $2,500 and $4,000 because much of the engine has to be disassembled. If internal engine damage has already occurred, replacing the entire engine may cost significantly more than the SUV is worth. Unfortunately, that's not the only concern. Owners have also reported premature transfer case failures on AWD models, steering component wear, suspension bushings wearing earlier than expected, wheel bearing failures, brake system issues. None of these repairs are catastrophic on their own, but when combined with the potential water pump failure, the 2008 simply becomes difficult to recommend unless it has an exceptionally detailed maintenance history and proof that the water pump has already been replaced. Next on our list are the 2010, 11, and 2012 model years. These years are interesting because, on paper, they look like improved versions of the original CX-9. Mazda updated styling, refined the interior, and made several improvements throughout the production run. Unfortunately, the biggest mechanical weakness remained unchanged. The internal water pump continued to haunt owners. As these vehicles aged past the 100,000-mile mark, repair costs became increasingly common. The 2012 model in particular has accumulated one of the highest numbers of owner complaints in the entire CX-9 lineup. Many of those complaints center around expensive repairs rather than routine maintenance. Besides the water pump, owners also reported transfer case failures that caused vibration or grinding noises, power steering leaks, electrical problems affecting door locks and dashboard electronics, premature alternator failures, air conditioning issues. These SUVs are now more than a decade old. Even if you purchase one at a bargain price, a single major repair could easily exceed half or even all of the vehicle's value. The driving experience is still excellent. The interior remains comfortable, but financially, these years require much more caution than many competing SUVs. Now, let's move to the second generation. When Mazda completely redesigned the CX-9 in 2016, expectations were incredibly high. The bulky V6 disappeared. In its place came Mazda's new 2.5-liter turbocharged Skyactiv engine. Fuel economy improved dramatically. The cabin became dramatically quieter. Ride quality became more refined. Technology took a huge leap forward. Many automotive journalists actually considered it the best driving three-row SUV on the market. Unfortunately, being the very first year of a completely new platform also meant some early production issues appeared. One of the biggest involved coolant leaking from the cylinder head due to casting imperfections. Repair costs can become significant because of the labor required to access the affected components. To be fair, many 2016 owners have never experienced this issue, but enough cases have been reported that buyers should approach this year carefully. It's one of those years where documentation matters just as much as mileage. The best years to buy. Now that we've covered the model years that deserve extra caution, let's shift our focus to the Mazda CX-9s that truly stand out. If your budget is under $15,000, there's one model year that stands above the rest of the original generation: the 2015 Mazda CX-9. As the final year before Mazda completely redesigned the SUV, the 2015 benefited from nearly a decade of continuous improvements. That's one of the biggest advantages of buying the final year of any generation. By that point, automakers have usually fixed the majority of the small issues that appeared in earlier production years. While it still uses the familiar 3.7-liter naturally aspirated V6, it feels more polished than earlier versions. Acceleration remains smooth. The 6-speed automatic transmission shifts predictably. The steering still delivers the sporty feel Mazda is known for. And despite being an older SUV, the cabin remains surprisingly quiet on the highway. Many owners also praise the comfortable front seats, supportive driving position, and large cargo area. For growing families, it offers enough room for road trips while still being easy to maneuver around town. One reason buyers continue searching for the 2015 model is its proven reliability record compared to earlier first-generation years. It simply generates fewer serious complaints. That doesn't mean it's perfect. The internal water pump design didn't magically disappear. If that repair has already been completed by a reputable shop, the 2015 suddenly becomes much more attractive. Another advantage is affordability. Since it's now over 10 years old, depreciation has made it one of the best bargains in the midsize SUV market. You can often buy a nicely maintained 2015 for thousands less than a comparable Toyota Highlander, while enjoying a much more upscale interior and sportier driving experience. Next comes what many enthusiasts consider the hidden gem of the second generation: the 2018 Mazda CX-9. This model year represents an excellent balance between price and refinement. By 2018, Mazda had already gained several years of real-world experience with the redesigned platform. Many of the minor software glitches and early production concerns from 2016 had been addressed. Build quality became noticeably more consistent. Owners frequently describe the 2018 as the year when the second-generation CX-9 truly hit its stride. One of the first things you'll notice is just how premium the interior feels. Soft-touch materials cover nearly every surface. The dashboard design remains elegant even by today's standards. Road noise is well controlled, and the seats are supportive enough for long highway trips. If you've never driven a CX-9 before, you'll probably be surprised by how much it feels like a luxury crossover rather than a mainstream family SUV. The driving experience is another major selling point. Unlike many three-row SUVs that prioritize comfort above everything else, the CX-9 still feels engaging behind the wheel. The turbocharged 2.5-liter engine also delivers strong real-world performance. While its horsepower numbers may not look impressive on paper compared to some V6 competitors, the engine produces excellent low-end torque. That means it feels responsive during everyday driving, especially when merging onto highways or climbing hills with passengers on board. Fuel economy also improved substantially over the older V6 models. Many owners report averaging between 23 and 26 miles per gallon during mixed driving, which is impressive for a three-row SUV of this size. Another reason the 2018 remains popular is value. For many shoppers, the 2018 represents the sweet spot where depreciation has already done its work, but the vehicle still feels modern. Coming in at number 3, 2020 Mazda CX-9. If the 2018 introduced the sweet spot, the 2020 model refined nearly everything even further. By 2020, Mazda had spent several years improving the second-generation platform. Small refinements added up to create one of the most polished versions of the CX-9 ever produced. Owners consistently praise this model for its quiet ride. This is the kind of SUV where a 6-hour road trip feels surprisingly relaxing. Technology also received meaningful updates. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto became standard on most trims, making smartphone integration far easier than in earlier models. The infotainment system became quicker and more intuitive. The turbocharged engine continues delivering excellent low-end torque while maintaining respectable fuel economy. Owners also report very smooth transmission performance, with fewer complaints compared to earlier years. Perhaps the biggest compliment comes from long-term owners themselves. Many report reaching well beyond 150,000 miles with nothing more than scheduled maintenance, such as oil changes, brakes, tires, and fluids. That's exactly what used car buyers hope to hear. The 2020 also holds its value exceptionally well. If you're planning to keep your SUV for many years, the 2020 deserves serious consideration. Finally, we arrive at what many consider the very best years of the Mazda CX-9, the 2022 and 2023. By the time these SUVs rolled off Mazda's production line, the company had spent nearly 7 years perfecting the second-generation platform. The cabin materials feel premium from every angle. Leather upholstery on higher trims rivals what you'd expect from luxury brands. The dashboard layout remains clean and uncluttered. Physical buttons are still available for frequently used controls, something many drivers appreciate compared to today's increasingly touchscreen-heavy interiors. On the road, the CX-9 continues to distinguish itself from competitors. Instead of feeling bulky, it feels composed and athletic. Steering remains accurate. The suspension absorbs bumps without sacrificing handling. Even fully loaded with passengers and luggage, the turbocharged engine provides confident acceleration. Safety is another area where these years shine. Advanced driver assistance features come standard across much of the lineup, giving families added peace of mind. All work together to create one of the safest family SUVs Mazda has ever built. Owners also report remarkably few major mechanical issues compared to earlier years. That's exactly what you'd expect from the final years of a mature production cycle. While no vehicle is completely immune from unexpected repairs, the 2022 and 2023 CX-9 have developed a reputation for dependable long-term ownership. The only downside? Price. Because demand remains strong, these newer models still command relatively high resale values.